The following podcast contains some strong language and some very average opinions. Any references to actual people are wildly inaccurate. It's probably best if you don't listen at all. The Roaring Peacock Podcast. Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock Podcast. This is the match preview between Leeds United and Everton. We've got a very sticky toffee with us. It's Mr. Adam Pope. G'day, Adam. How are you going?
I'm all right. Thank you very much. Yeah, good, Adonis. I'm in good form.
Fantastic. My name is Adonis. You know me as the Adelites. And last but certainly not least is our resident right badger, Alex.
Good afternoon. I'm on slightly less form than the rest of you, I think.
Come on, Alex.
Later fitness test.
Little Pablito there.
Everton. Tell us about it, Popey. Firstly, where's your Everton shirt? I'm very disappointed. I was hoping for your face paint and little flag.
Hey, no colours in the press box. That's one of the rules. Saying that, I do have. At the back end of last season, I did put the square ball merchandise underneath my top because it got on a lucky roll. So although it wasn't on display, it was there. So, but no, I don't have like a hidden Everton badge or anything like that. But I may do on Saturday. You have to wait and see.
You got some Everton boxer shorts. Keep the tackle dry.
Hey, do you know what? Years ago, I think my wife did buy me some a long time ago, but I actually don't have an Everton shirt or anything like that. Do you know, I had an Arteta 6 shirt that Eddie Gray got me for my 40th birthday because his big mate, Jimmy Lumsden, who was also at Leeds with him, when he was on the staff there with David Moyes. And I gave it to somebody to get signed and they lost it.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I know. So that's so since then, I've never had a shirt. So yeah. Yeah, but I don't look great in them either with my middle-aged spread rolling through.
I'm exactly the same. I've bought them with the best of intentions and put them on and gone, no. And then they've gone back in the wardrobe.
So it's been a great start to the season for Everton. How are you going? You've trailed off a bit now. I think you're 6th.
Yeah, I think the... How did I feel about this season would go? I think prior to the 3 big signings, I think it probably felt a bit like a Newcastle United fan thinking, oh dear, this could be a bit of a struggle this season. And felt that the ambition of having Carlo Ancelotti there, quite clearly the best manager that Everton have ever had in terms of pedigree and what have you, that they have to match the ambition of making that appointment. And to be fair, under Moshiri, Everton they've splashed the cash, but it's been a little bit aimless, a bit reckless and fallen on barren ground, to be quite honest, with the amount of, it's probably about £250 million that's been, splashed away, for want of a better phrase, against a wall. So they've had to do that. But now they've done that. And I think in terms of a first 11, Everton look really strong. However, as soon as any injuries have cropped up, I think they've struggled. So we've got the makings of a really good side of Everton. And I think, top 6 isn't beyond, their bounds this season. So the start has been really good. Brought back down to earth with a couple of pretty sobering defeats. But I think Richarlison being back in the team has made a big difference. But we've learned today, haven't we, that Lucas Digne, who's been excellent, is going to be out for probably a few months now because he faced his ankle surgery. So that's a big blow. Coleman missing. Who would have thought he would have been revitalised the way he has been after his injury? He's been essential to Everton's progress. Maybe that he'll come back into the frame. But, Rodriguez and Alan Decore have been great signings. So I think they could make top 6. That's where I'm going with it. So all in all, yeah, it's pretty good at Goodison at the moment, I would say.
It shows you done it. A good coach can bring the best out of players. I mean, we've seen that with Leeds and now you see him at Everton as well. So, yeah, it's a good place to be in. So I am naturally scared.
Well, but do you know what? From the problem with Everton for me is that, and this is where I think Leeds, even prior to last weekend's results, this little batch of 3 games for Leeds, the Arsenal, Everton and Chelsea games, I've always felt that the Everton was one where Leeds could probably get the most out of. because Everton have got an inability to put teams away. Once like the Fulham game, it should not have been left hanging on that way. So I think the term I use, they just don't put the foot on the neck for long enough, and that's an issue. So I think, and in a toe-to-toe game, which I think I'd expect it to be at the weekend, I think Leeds have got every chance of maybe doing something. So trying to look at it objectively, I'm quite confident Leeds are going to come away with something.
Right.
How will that feel, Perpy, when Jackie Harrison bangs in his fourth goal?
Won't feel as good as the one he scored against Liverpool. I know that, but I think, like, seriously, I think because in the job that I do, regardless of whether it was Leeds or not, take that way, I think after a while, if you sort of lose that bit of being a fan, if you like, you just don't see football in the same way anymore. And I'm not saying it just becomes a job. It's not like that at all, because I think it's fair to say Leeds have got massively under my skin over the years. And, often my welfare is linked to theirs as well, and my households too. So it does have an effect on me personally. So, look, I can't lose, can I, either way, to be quite honest. Look, the fan of me obviously sees I want Everton to do the best they can, and I really want to reclaim a place, in the upper echelons of football. For Leeds, I just see this as a real chance to get some more points on the board and start stretching away from the bottom, which is becoming a massive gap now too. And honestly, I get so much joy out of seeing Leeds develop over the last few years as a club, and obviously on the pitch, particularly on the pitch. It's going to be a really intriguing day. But am I conflicted? Look, when it comes to the commentary, no, you'll hear me being the same Popey as before, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that must be difficult. I mean, it's like when you go out with your workmates and you bump into your actual mates, like mixing work and pleasure. I know you both, but
I think of it more like Leeds is like the Leeds is like the affair that you've grown to love. You've kept secret, but you've had to do it. It's at your job. It's your secretary, probably, or your work colleague, or your boss. And you're having a crazy affair. You're spending most of your time with her, during the days at work.
But he's now got to commentate on their meeting on Saturday. No, I didn't mean it when I said it to you. No. That's a poor analogy that I don't want to go
I've had some horrible images have been conjured up there by you both. Thank you very much for that. I'll try and dismiss them. No doubt Whelan will bring them back for me the weekend. But by the way, he turned Everton down twice. He did as well. Did Whelan, and told me. So honestly, I probably I've had a few people sort of DM me or quite openly message saying how you're going to feel. So I think it's getting into other people's heads more than it is mine. I think, honestly, I'm rent free in fans' heads. Do you know what? Overall, I can't wait for the game, obviously, because I think there's going to be a very proud moment to be commentating at Everton. But there's also going to be that sadness, which I'm not being funny. It's growing by the week. Is that the joylessness of not having a crowd, and obviously not having a crowd that would have family members in it as well. Not that they've got anything to do with how I commentate or anything like that, but I think that is an occasion. I think I'll particularly feel it again, but we are feeling it week on week. It's that feeling's getting worse, and we're there doing it, So, and there will be a sadness. And I'm not being funny, as there was going to Anfield on the opening day you're thinking, wow, Leeds back in the Premier League after all these years, and you just missed the streets lined with, people flogging rubbish memorabilia at you.
Half scarves.
And all that sort of, you miss all that, the stuff that you take the rise out of, the stuff that you enjoy and all that. And I think I'll probably feel it again more so than ever. And I don't know, I was speaking to a member of staff at Leeds today, and they're saying just how horrible it is going into an empty ground to work. And I think I'll feel particularly when I think back to some of the great days that I've had at Goodison. As a quirk of accent, I was there the day that Rooney scored on his debut. against Arsenal. I was actually doing a bit of commentary for BBC London that day. And you think of those days, the great nights when we beat Bayern Munich in the European Cup semi-final, Cup Winners' Cup semi-final, sorry. And losing 1-0 at half time and you win 3-1. That was the big night at Goodison. So when I walk in, because I think of those days and the dead cars going off and the crowd rise and the heckles on, much in the same way that you will when as soon as you hear the first bars of, Marching On Together.
Yeah.
You think that, and to have none of that experience is going to be a bit hollow, to be quite honest. Does that sound bad though? The fact that I'm going to be there though,
I think it's two different experiences. And I commented before the Arsenal game because it was a late kick-off. I'm like, I just feel totally deflated by it. It's like you've got no sort of build-up. Normally on a match day, I'd be waking up to like, right, okay, what's been said? I'd be looking on your Twitter, looking at what you said, what Phil said. Is there any sort of hint at what the team's going to be? And that whole build-up has kind of gone. You're building up to the point where you set off, you get parked, and you're walking down the hill. What we're going to do today, lads? And that whole thing's gone. You feel like it's about 20 times removed from the game. So I was watching the Arsenal game. I said to these guys, it was just like you're watching an exhibition, and it's like tuning into the under-23s. But we've put a decent team out for under-23s here, and that's it. We do need fans back, but it's got to be done safely. And the way that they're doing it at the minute, I don't agree with. So some places can have fans in. In fact, technically, they could have 2,000 fans in on Saturday, couldn't they? At Goodison, as it stands.
I suppose it's like, isn't the restriction till December the 2nd though?
Oh, is it? Right, okay.
Yeah. So.
Of course. I'm ahead of myself.
Yeah. But no, I know. But it isn't what you say is interesting because because Bielsa it's come out today, hasn't it? And basically said, look, just applying a bit of common sense to the situation, aren't you giving an unfair advantage to those that can have a few thousand in, which clearly they're not going to be away fans, they're all going to be home fans. So I think that's basically what he was alluding to there, is that depending on how big the restriction is in the stadium that you're going to go to, Leeds can't have any, but Chelsea in a week's time could have a few thousand by the looks of things. So, should it be, regardless of restriction, that there should be no fans, or you should all be allowed to say, So,
I mean, I think I'd say it differently if it was Leeds were in tier 2. I think I would have a different opinion. I think it is totally biased that we're in tier 3. So,
and then there'd be all the talk about who gets a ticket, and then the scrapping online for the supervan status and all that. So
once made a pair of gloves from Billy Bremner's socks. You're saying that you're not a Leeds fan. I'm a Leeds fan. I want to be one of these 2,000. No, I can't stand.
How have they got a ticket? And
where were you when we were shit? Watching Leeds.
But I know what you mean, because it's like turning on a TV show or something at the moment. And when you go to games, certainly for all those privileged season ticket holders who have a guaranteed ticket every game, there's a whole build up, and that by the time you get to the ground and the whistle goes, you're kind of ready for it. You know what I mean? Like emotionally and energetically. And at the moment it's just like turning on a TV show. You've been home all day doing bugger all. It's pouring around the house and
pretty much. Did my cleaning. I mean,
I mean, I've been watching some fans. I don't know. Some fans call it differently. Some of the regular fans that I deal with, and one in particular who's followed Leeds for decades, he says, "No, we should all be back. I don't want to go to a socially distanced Leeds game where I can't have that experience that you've just laid out there. Just, going side by side, into the ground, a little bit bevied up, whatever, So for him, he'd rather not do it at all until he can do it properly. So, and I get that. Although I could imagine, like, if somebody it'd be like Willy Wonka, isn't it? And the chocolate factory having that golden ticket. Like, if you're
who wants to touch me? Who wants to touch me?
Who wants to get? I mean, if you get one, then like, there's no way you're turning it down, is there? No. I suppose. But the bigger point is the experience of it all. We all miss it, even when you're in the ground. You still miss it massively. It's you can't even put a percentage on what it feels like compared to what it should feel like. But I'll always caveat and say, look, we're so fortunate to do what we're doing. But I don't know why it feels worse than it was in the key moments, the promotion moments, the first game back, all that sort of stuff. You're just so sorrowful that those moments can't be shared.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse. So Lord knows how it feels for you guys, to be missing out constantly.
It's like, because in the last season, there was something to play for. And like you're following that, and it is exciting because you get promoted and you're expecting that around this time we'd be going back into the ground. Now we've got to face up to the reality. I mean, I don't think it's going to be this. It might be that this is our only season in the Premier League and then we're going to get relegated before we get to see a game. And it's that nervousness I think is coming in now because the season's dragging on a little bit. We've seen quite a lot of big games go past without anybody being there. It's like, how many games will we actually get to see before we go back to playing Millwall away on a Tuesday night? So,
to me, it's like a tripod. It's the teams who are involved. So that encompasses the managers and the players and the playing style, and then it's the game that happens. So the many different possibilities that can happen when the ball goes in the air and whatever. So the actual game, and then the third thing is the fans and their wit. Yeah. And their joy, their emotional peaks and troughs and how they react and all that. So I think even just watching on TV, it's without the fans, without Leeds away end singing for 90 minutes, easily out singing the home fans. Or when we were losing 4-0 at West Brom, and we're still out singing them. They're on their feet, It's just that element to it is such a massive part of the game, even if you are watching on TV.
I'll tell you what we will need to do, though, if we do go to this 2,000 fans, if we get to tier 2, they're going to have to canvass opinion on Patrick Bamford. Because if you spread 2,000 people around Ellen Road and there's one person shouting abuse at Patrick Bamford, who's going to hear it word for word? I don't fancy him climbing into the stands and just having a go.
Yeah, you get this, it's not me phase, from Life of Brian.
Shit. Did you say it? What, me, mate? Oh, it's nobody.
Yeah. We all love Patrick Bamford, and then there's this one guy, I don't.
It
doesn't speak for me.
Hey, but I tell you what I did love about Patrick Bamford was the fact that he admitted, he's really candid, isn't he? He admitted that, look, I was sweating on it a bit overnight. Am I going to get picked for England or not? And to get the text, so I thought that was great. I mean, he could get slaughtered for that. So, you thought you were good enough for England and all that sort of stuff. I think it's brilliant that he's got the strength of the character to come out and admit that he's goes through those feelings. He was churning over. I didn't sleep and all that. It's great. I was sort of like, how can you not like Patrick Bamford?
No.
And if you understand Leeds, you understand him, don't you?
Yeah, he's performing now at the highest level.
He's great value in interviews and stuff like that. I think he's always, like you say, he's candid. He's really honest about his opinion on stuff, which is good because you do get the set answers, I thought we had a good game and, it's all the same. It's like, just pick a few cliches out of the hat. But Bamford's pretty good. He's verbose. So I do like that.
Now we'll do our predictions in a minute. So that's where I'll get you both to predict what the score is. But it would be remiss of us not to talk about All Elves. So if you haven't heard about our initiative, it's to try and get a Christmas present or two in the last food parcel delivery of the year out of Slung Low. So that's in the area of Beeston, just around the ground. And Adam, you, Popey, feels weird to call you Adam. Popey, you, Mr. Pope, you visited Slung Low today and just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
It was, well, firstly, very, very humbling. We spoke to, Ewan Metcalf really well, obviously, and in tandem, you were sort of, pushing the idea of getting basically toys and other Christmas gifts to people that would otherwise not get them. And with that, you've attached it to Slung Low, the theatre company, which is based at Holbeck Working Men's Club, which I first went to about late 90s when I was working for Bass. and it used to be one of the clubs on my patch. So it's great to see that it's still alive in that sense. But my word, you walk in there and it is incredible what's going on, because it's a food bank as well. And they are delivering, and parcels doesn't do it justice. They are delivering crates of food and of healthy food to families that really need it too. And not only that, obviously as elves, this fleet of volunteers are wrapping donated presents and taking them out to families that are in a similar, or maybe even the same families in a similar condition, which is, it's humbling, because you think, wow, this is sad that this has to happen. And it takes local people to do other local people really good turns, because that's quite frankly, if you're relying on the authorities to do it, that ain't going to happen. Mm-hmm. And it's brilliant to see that whole community feeling. And I know that all sounds a bit, twee and what have you, but it's not. It was just an amazing operation that's happening. And people are literally flogging themselves either as part of their work or a lot of their free time to bring a bit of joy. Not even that, just much needed sort of food or presents to people that would otherwise not have them. It is an amazing operation, and guys, I think what you've done is brilliant, because seeing it firsthand, the amount of work that's going in to provide this means that what you've done is really worthwhile and is required. It's a beautiful thing. So well done, Adelites and everybody else. It's fun. I know it's a lot of people involved, but it is a fantastic operation. It really is. And it was nice to go and see it this morning.
I mean, I think it wouldn't be half as successful if we didn't have the fan base that we did. We've put that ask out. We're the 657th most popular podcast in Leeds. So it's not got the audience that we should, but it's gone out and, people have, and it's not a small task to give that amount of money. People have really donated and really pulled it out for us. So that's going to make sure that we're going to get out to as many people as possible. So it's going to be great. Whether people are giving a £5 or we've had a donation of £500. Well, even if you're giving a quid or a couple of quid, I think it's just so good to feel a part of that. A part of bringing some joy to some kids who otherwise might not have gotten any Christmas presents this year. So it's been a difficult year, and I felt the compulsion to do something, and so do an enormous amount of other people, and we're so lucky that people have responded to this. But I feel like everybody's going to get something out of it.
I tell you what, that compulsion that you're feeling, Adonis and Alex, I think that gets infectious. And the more people hear about it, the more people think, "What, you're actually telling me kids aren't going to get something at Christmas?" And when people actually think about it, it really does, pluck on the heartstrings, and they think, "Oh, gee, I can't have that." No. So, and we're talking hundreds here. We're not just talking a few. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of families here. So, anything would be a help, and not just up to Christmas and beyond as well.
Yeah, the scale is crazy. Hey, the amount of food parcels that they're sending out, it's unbelievable. It's now Alex's favorite time of the week, where we make I make him predict what the score will be. So you haven't played this before, Popey, but basically you get 1 point for predicting a win, draw, or a loss. You get 3 points for the exact scoreline, and you get 3 points for a scorer as well. Are we going to say that?
Okay.
Doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to get it right.
Don't sugarcoat it, Alex.
No. I did all my prediction. Powers went in that whole Villa game when I said Bamford's going to score. I was going to get a second. I think a hat-trick's on. All three went in. Didn't put one bet on. So my whole power's gone now. I've got nothing.
I tell you what, you were so close to getting maximum points last week. You predicted 1-0 to Leeds, Rafinha, and wow.
Like I said on the main cast, it was as soon as he hit the crossbar, it was like the crossbar post on it. Took my glasses off, threw them over the room. Like, just go, I need them to see. Crawl across the carpet, put them back on.
That scene from Wolf of Wall Street where he's crawling to his car.
Pretty much exactly the same. The state of his car was the state of my betting account. Yeah.
Okay, so it is 6-6 between Alex and the guests. So everything to play for. Herpy, do you want to go first?
All right, I'm going to go 3-3.
Wow.
Because I am hoping for, and I generally think that it's got the chance to be a slugfest. Two open sides. I think 3-3. Scorers, I definitely think Bamford will get one.
Mm-hmm.
You just needing one scorer.
As you can be as you can go as deep as you want. You can give the times. You can say if people are going to get sent off. Number of throw-ins. I don't know.
I think Bamford will score. I think Calvert-Lewin. So there's 2 in my fantasy league team because I need that to happen. I've got Melier in goal, so I'm not too happy about the 3 goals going in. But hey, I'm going 3-3, and I'm going DCL. And hat-trick Bamford to score as well.
Are you saying Bamford's going to get a hat-trick?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that, no.
Okay, and
some mad VAR decision as well. You've got to chuck one of them in, haven't we?
Okay, a mad VAR decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to get a point for that because it's almost bang on, isn't it? It's nailed on every single game.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I'll give you a point. I'll give you 1 point if there's a mad VAR decision.
All right.
So technically, I could say 11-all, name the whole squad for both sides, and then the result will be wrong, but at least the scorers will be right, and I'll get a point.
I feel like you're trying to game the system.
It's the only chance I've got. No, I'm going to go. I think it's going to be 2-1 Leeds.
Okay.
I don't actually think it's going to be 2-1 Leeds.
Okay, what do you actually think?
I think it's going to be another 4-1. I think we're going to get beat. I'm going to get schooled. But I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds for this prediction because I want to be positive with it.
Okay.
Because you can't bet against Leeds. Although I did that a lot last season because the odds were great. But you can't do that this season. No, 2-1 Leeds.
To be fair, if I had to, this is why I wouldn't do a prediction because I'd be a lot worse than Alex is being right now.
Really?
Yeah. I'd be like, I think maybe we're going to lose, but it could be a draw. But I really want it to be a win. So
yeah. But it's interesting. But like I spoke to like my family, some Everton fans. My family said they last night were pretty confident that Everton would win. Now it was obviously before Dini was announced that he's in, and he has been crucial for, like I said before. So I think they're feeling relatively confident. But I don't know. I just think trying to be really objective, just going on how the both sides play. Everton don't sit in, so that's going to suit Leeds surely.
Yeah.
Where Leeds would struggle for me, if Allen and Decore get hold of the midfield and start breaking things up, we know Bielsa admitted just last week in that 20-minute answer, didn't he? He said, if we start turning possession over, and then they're vulnerable because of the way they play. So if Allen and Decore do get a hold of the midfield, then that could be difficult. But as we saw, Phillips was so influential coming back against Arsenal that they've got to combat him. And you've got to say Matej Klich, who's been told today by Bielsa, he could play in the best teams in the world. So I mean, whoever wins that midfield battle, then for me, is going to come out on top because both sides have got really skillful players, in White, Richarlison, and let's face it, I think Rafinha could well be the star of the Premier League before too long as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So if Everton get on top of midfield, then it's theirs. But similarly, obviously, if Leeds do so, that's for me is going to be the big key battle for
midfield, isn't it? Yeah.
For me, yeah, because after that, they've all got players that can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
This is all getting very technical. for
Yeah.
the piece. We've got.
You won't get that from me.
We've had 30 seconds of straight no shit talk.
No, it makes the difference between this pre-match and the last pre-match, where the Arsenal guy just took over. Right, what do you guys think about VAR?
There's always this guy in the crowd who's like an alien, and he's wearing a human suit.
That sounds like it's made up, but that's exactly what he said.
Yeah, Keith Dover from Alan Davis's The Tuesday Club.
I'm sorry you couldn't make your podcast this week, mate, but we're filling in for you.
Yes. Well, we hope we're doing all right. So, Alex, I do have to ask you.
Go on.
The scorers. 2-1 Leeds.
So I'm going to go Bamford. I'm going to go Rafinha because he owes me one. And Calvert-Lewin.
Talk amongst yourselves while I'm writing things down.
Okay. What do you go on then? DCL and Bamford.
Yeah.
Were you expecting Bamford to get the nod?
No.
From Southgate? And would you expect him to going down, further? If this continues and say he gets 3 in the next 7 or 8 games, would you see him maybe knock on the door for March? Next round.
It were a little bit early, I think, for this call up. I'm not saying that he's not good enough, but I think it's one of them form is temporary, class is permanent things. I think if he proves himself that he can maintain this for a bit longer, like you said, the next call up, I think he's probably got a better shout.
The issue for me is there's so much competition for his place. Yeah. If you look at Calvin, he's got Declan Rice to deal with, so.
And also, if he accepts the cap, he's got Mick McCarthy coming after his kneecaps. We've got to be really careful with it.
But then you can make it another like Jack Harrison. I mean, an exponential improvement from him, I would say, from a guy that's obviously been told or thought of in glowing terms 2 years ago when we were still saying, hang on, Jack, you're sort of running into the legs at the moment rather than displaying your wares properly. Now he's becoming a really great Premier League player. He's certainly got the potential to be. Do you see him? I mean, he's got England aspirations himself. And the great thing is now is that you think anything is possible with these guys.
Yeah, definitely.
If they want it,
I think if Patrick Bamford was a right back, I think he'd be in there.
Can you play right back? What about you? Right back. No, I think it seemed like a massive barrier, didn't it, before when Calvin was knocking on the door while we were in the Championship and everybody saying you've got to play in the Premier League. It just seemed like a big gap between where we were and where we needed to be to have so many internationals. And then we've gone up and it seems like everybody's an international. Alioski's an international, Click's an international, we've got so many. I think it's not far away, definitely for Harrison, because I think he's been great this season. And I don't know how he controls them balls with his foot. I have no idea.
Well, you talk about, like the goal against Liverpool, where he just drags them in a brilliant pass. Even if it'd gone out of play, that was still a great pass from Calvin, but he turned it into something beyond belief. And funny enough, Bielsa talked about Maradona today and saying, look, the myth that surrounds, these idols is that they make you believe that anything is possible, basically, that you could be like them. And, this is it. This is what great coaching does. What's the one common denominator here? It's him making these players into internationals.
If Southgate was going to take anything from Leeds, I would hope that it would be style of play rather than any of our players.
Leeds United style of play has been given a cap and called up for a cap. But I think talking about the improvement of players, if you think at Matthias Klick, from being dropped by Christensen and sent on loan, and you didn't think he was going to play a game ever again, to now being told by one of the best coaches in the world that he could play in any of the best teams. I mean, that's something you put that straight on your LinkedIn, don't you? And you share that out as a post. I mean, I'd have that tattooed
on the gravestone.
Yeah.
I mean, that is because he doesn't use hyperbole, does he? I mean, when he goes back to that great sort of story he told at the beginning about, was it Batistuta, wasn't it, where he said, look, you must never lie to players or overinflate them because it comes back to haunt you. He will not do that. So when he says that about Click, he really does mean it. He really does. And I mean, it is incredible. Is that probably the biggest example of how he has affected a player or a club or a team, is turning somebody that was, almost a reluctant returning loanee, wasn't it, as far as the club were concerned, and was ready to go. Yeah. And he actually talked, unless it was a misinterpreted, he talked about wanting to maybe play him at centre-back. And then he chucks him in against Las Palmas because there's no number 8s, as he calls them, with Forshaw and then Ronaldo Vieira going. Suddenly, he doesn't miss a game. I mean, it's absolutely, it is literally incredible that could happen to a player.
But it just shows every player that has bought into Bielsa's philosophy has improved. There's not one that has, given everything and then has pulled up short and they haven't been good enough. Every player that he's kept on since the start, everybody that's bought into it has really improved. So it just shows the value. I think £2 million a year is an absolute bargain. Keep it forever.
This is where I would ask you both, Leeds United versus Everton, final thoughts. Let's go with Mr. Riot Badger first.
Okay. It's a classic.
You look so fucking enthusiastic about that. Oh my God.
No, because the thing is, I could say something totally like out of kilter for this and I'll get clips and it'll be said for the rest of the time. It's one of them classic games that, you always look forward to, back when we went to games in the Premiership as it was. So it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a nerve-wracking one. It's not going to be us being hit on the bounce. It's going to be similar to Liverpool, I think, where it's like a basketball game going back and forth. So I will lose even more hair watching it than I already have. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. I just want 3 points because I just want to get away from the bottom 3. I just don't want to go down. I want to go to a Premier League game, please. Thank you, Mr. Boris Johnson. Yeah, beep. Yeah.
the first swear word to be censored on this podcast. Okay, and yourself, Puppy?
Yeah, I think firstly where the game sits, as I said, in with Arsenal and Chelsea, I think is a big chance for Leeds to get 3 points. And I do hope it's that basketball game that Alex said, and I do think it'll be like that. It's a film for me because obviously people know where I'm from and what have you. When I think of Everton against Leeds games, over the years, there's not that many I can recall being at Goodison. I just remember there was the misery of going to Ellen Road with Everton and seeing them lose every time until Rooney scored, and I wasn't even at that game. And I think won once in the FA Cup on a Friday night, but for decades it was misery. Leeds has been quite good for as far as the Blues are concerned. But I think back to the 4-4 game, massively entertaining draw. I think Bridges got a really good goal in that game. And I think also the older people, there'll be people who can remember the Battle of Goodison, where it was a ferocious game in the 60s between both teams when, we talk about football being different then. It was an absolute, what it was a battle. There was all sorts going on. I think sendings off, and I think the teams were taken off at one point as well. And I always think of Bobby Collins too, and my dad, who's no longer with us, saying, what a great player he was for Everton, and then of course going to Leeds. So when I think of this game, they're the things I think of.
Yeah.
But seeing Leeds at Everton in the flesh, which would be great for me, is something I've not really seen or can't recall seeing that much, myself. So it'll be great from that point of view. And genuinely, I really think this could be one of the spectacles of the season. I really do. I think it could be absolutely brilliant. 2 world-class coaches going head-to-head. And as Bielsa said about Ancelotti, nobody's ever criticised the way he plays, this unselfish way that he plays the game. His players love him, his colleagues love him. He's wanted by everybody around the world. He's been triumphant everywhere. So you've got him up against, one of FIFA's best nominated coaches, which is brilliant in itself, and 2 great styles of play. I can't wait. I think it'll be brilliant. That's why I think it'll be 3-3.
He's only nominated because there's an English bias, though. That's not done anything in his career. Do not develop these players into being world class. It's just an English bias.
Yeah, Chris Wilder and Dean Smith, they've been absolutely robbed.
I just, and don't get me on about Gabby Agbonlahor. But anyway, it's I'm glad that Leeds have been recognised, and obviously Bielsa has been recognised for, because I do think in some part it is a reflection of just how big a job that's been, to do what he's done and to continue doing it as well. And that, so that's great, and all, but that's the sort of sideshow compared to what this weekend's about. But I much as I want it to be that great spectacle, I think I understand, Alex, what you're saying. If Leeds could grab another 3 points quite quickly in the next sort of few weeks, that is going to be massively damaging to the sides beneath them, for which, for me, 2 are going anyway now. I just think I look back at some stats with Sheffield United, 9 games in on 1 point?
Mm.
I remember back in the early 90s, and it went to the last game in the end. Everton just stayed up. In the end, I think it was on goal difference, with Bolton going down. And even then, after 9 games, Everton had 3 points. Now, I know there was a different amount of games and all that sort of stuff, but it just shows you that to get out of that on the last day with 3 points after 9 games, Everton didn't win till the 13th game. I think if Sheffield go another game without a win, you just can't see them getting out. So another 3 points for Leeds somewhere soon is going to be huge, I think, in condemning them. So as Leeds are concerned. And so I really think there's just one place to worry about down there at the moment. And I know you can easily get sucked in, I get that. But I just think Leeds are too good. Honestly, I just think they're too good.
Yeah, we're not getting relegated. So. But having said that, Alex, how many times in the Premier League era have Leeds won at Goodison?
I can tell you in a second.
Yeah.
Just give me a sec.
Yeah.
So in the Premier League or Premiership, 27 meetings, I think it is. Mm-hmm. And it's 7-7. So we have won at Goodison once.
Once?
No, never have. Never.
No.
7 home wins, 0 away wins.
I thought it was 0.
Yeah. It was the last time was the 89-90, wasn't it? After coming up the next season, the first game back, wasn't it? That was the last top flight victory, wasn't it?
My stats don't go that far because the football was invented in 1993. So
I don't even know what 89-90 is.
Really? so the first game back, obviously the famous 3-2 and Southall sitting against the post and that. But I think the season after, Leeds won 4-1 in the League Cup. So that will be the last victory at Goodison Park. So it's not been a happy hunting ground in that sense. But been a few big draws, as I said. But it's it'll be someday if they go and pull it off. They do, but
the last time Leeds beat Everton was Saturday, 19th of August, 2000. 2-0. Alan Smith got 2 and Woodgate got 1, which is that's a collector's edition. 40,000 at Ellen Road for that,
including me. Were you there as well? Probably.
They all melded into one. 2000. No, I'll have been on tour, I think. So I missed a lot of it because of music. So
okay, so on that very happy, positive, confident note, I'll wrap it up here. So it's a very goodbye from me. You know me as @the_Adelites on Twitter. It's a very goodbye from @RiotBadger. Alex?
Yeah, don't follow me, but cheers, bye.
And it's a very goodbye from the legend himself, the sticky toffee, Mr. Adam Pope.
Oh, thank you, you crazy cats. I love the show. Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Most of our stats come from LUFC Stats or LUFC Data on Twitter. You should probably give them a follow as they're more interesting than us. A very special thanks to Adam Elliot, Adam Warner, Barney Stuart, Cookie, Ewan and Howard Metcalf, Josh Pearson, Laura, Leon and Rob, The Light Show, and all our family and friends.